One of the oldest decks in the modern metagame is Tron. And in today's video, we're going to be playing Tron. Three cards that are really important to this deck are Urza's Tower, Urza's Power Plant, and Urza's Mine. So what does Urza's Tower say? It says tap for one colorless. If you control an Urza's Mine and an Urza's Power Plant, add 3 instead. And this is the same with Mine and Power Plant, except they make 2 mana instead of 3. So as you can see, if we have all 3 of these lands on the battlefield, we can make 7 colorless mana. But this deck does absolutely nothing if it doesn't have Tron on the battlefield. So we have to play cards like Expedition Map, which is a 1 mana artifact that says pay to tap, sacrifice Expedition Map, search your library for a land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. This in addition to Sylvan Scrying, which is a 2-drop sorcery that says search your library for a land, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Both Expedition Map and Sylvan Scrying give us 8 extra copies of these lands. And when you want to play colorless lands, green is a problem, but we have Chromatic Star and Sphere to make a colored mana. And lastly, when looking at Karn the Great Creator, this is a 4 mana Planeswalker with a -2 of you may reveal an artifact card you own from outside the game or choose a face-up artifact card you own in exile. Put that card in your hands. And the reason that this is important in the deck is our sideboard is almost non-existent because we have so many targets for Karn to grab. For example, Ensnaring Bridge, Trinisphere, and a really weird one, Battle Gnomes. So today's video, we're going to be taking one of Modern's oldest archetypes and running it through a league to see if it's still on top. Match number 1, we're on the draw. And starting hand looks okay. Opponent goes turn 1 Misty. We find a Boseiju for turn, so we're going to lead on Power Plant into a star. And opponent untaps and casts a Prismatic Ending on our Chromatic Star. Then goes Forest into an Abundant Growth. We top deck an O-Stone, we'll play at Tower and run out another star. Then run out Plains into a General Roderick. We draw Dismember, we'll cycle Star for green, finding a Sphere, cycle that for green, into another Sphere, then we'll run out of Forest. They play a land into attack for 3. We draw Karn for turn, cycle a Sphere making a green, and draw a Tower. We'll play our Tower into an O-Stone. And on our end step, they cast Kai'Scowl, getting a 1/1, a 4/4, and gaining 4 life. They cast down Omnath, getting a 4/4, then play out a fetch land, gaining 4 life, going to 25. Then fetch, and in response, we'll dismember the Omnath. They find a tap Stomping Ground and attack us for 8. They draw a Mine for turn, so we're going to pop O-Stone now, then cast out a Wormcoil. Opponent plays out a Sprawl, enchanting their forest, then cast another one, and play out a Niv Mizzet. Getting a Kai'Scowl, a Teferi, and a Battle of Frost and Fire. Lead on attacking for 6. We'll run out a Karn and kill their land with 2 Sprawls on it. Cast a map, crack the map, and grab a Tower. Playing a Tower for turn and passing. They fetch out a Swamp, then play Teferi, bouncing Wormcoil. Then Helix our Karn and attack us for 6. We draw a Star for turn, we'll cycle that, making a green, drawing a Wormcoil. Play out our Karn, picking up a Cityscape Leveler and running that out. Then playing out our Boseiju for turn. Then they cast a Bring to Light for 5 mana. And they cast a Valkyrie, and I think they meant to do this on the Tybalt side. And they just scoop them up. Let's get on to sideboarding. This will happen a lot. We have literally nothing to bring in, so we're just going to run it back. For game 2, our Star looks amazing. Opponent leads on a Forest into Abundant Growth on it. We top deck a Stirrings. So we'll play Mine into a map. They fetch out a Temple Garden, then play a Wrenn and 6. Picking up a Misty. We drew a Forest, we'll play out the Power Plant and plan on getting a Tower. They cast another Growth, grab a Triome, tick up Wrenn and 6. And on the end step, we'll crack map, grabbing a Tower. We top deck a Dismember, so we'll play Tower, play out a Star, cycle it for green, drawing an Ugin, cast out a Stirrings. And these are all quite good, but I think map is the safest one to pick. We're going to play out a map and pass back to the opponent. They play out a Swamp into a Teferi, bouncing their Abundant Growth back to hand, ticking up with Wrenn, getting a Vista, and then redeploying the Growth on the Forest. On their end step, we'll just grab another Tower. We top deck a Karn. And we're just going to deploy an O-Stone this turn, holding it up. They took it with both their Planeswalkers. And on the end step, we'll pop the O-Stone. In response to it, they float 5 mana, then cast a Bring to Life with all 5 colors, grabbing a Vindicate and destroying our Power Plant. We top deck a Scrying. So play Forest, play a Scrying, and pick up a Power Plant. They cast out a Growth on their Swamp, then play an Omnath. And in response, we'll dismember it. Then they run out of Verdant. We'll play our Power Plant, cast out a Karn. We're going to grab a Trinisphere, play that out, and pass the opponent. They play out another Omnath, then slam a Vista. They fetch out a Plains with the Vista, making 4 mana. Then find another land and kill our Karn, dealing 4 to us as well. Then they run out a Niv, getting Vindicate, Bring to Light, a Lightning Helix, and a Wrenn and 6. We draw a Wormcoil for turn. We'll cast out our Ugin, sacrificing our Sanctum of Ugin. And we'll grab a Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, then -5, killing the board. They Vindicate our Power Plant, shocking a Stomping Ground, and then play another Niv, getting a Vindicate and a Battle of Frost and Fire. We'll tick up our Ugin. We'll cast a Sylvan Scrying, grabbing another Power Plant, then running it out. They attack us for 6, Lightning Helix us once, and then cast another Helix, and we're dead. Let's get into game number 3. For game 3, our starter looks amazing. We'll lead on turn 1 Tower into a map. They go turn 1 Temple Garden into a Utopia Sprawl. Ugin's a fine draw, but we'll run out mine and activate map. They play a foothills and pass. We crack the map, grabbing the power plant. They Besage our tower. We'll grab a forest. We find another power plant. We'll cast a scrying, grab our tower, and then play out a power plant. And they run out an Omnath. We'll play our tower and cast our Ugin. -4 killing their Omnath and Utopia Sprawl. They run out another Omnath and a forest. We draw a map for turn. We'll tick up Ugin, putting them down to 10. Playing our 6 mana Ugin. Down ticking, killing in the Omnath. Playing a power plant, running out map for free, and passing back to the opponent. They cast a Wren, ticking up on a foothills. That's shocking, then playing a Teferi out. They down tick, drawing a card. We untap, finding an O-Stone. We'll tick up with Ugin, manifesting a Sylvan Scrying. And we'll tick up Ugin, killing their Teferi. We'll cast out a Wormcoil and play out an O-Stone. Playing our Besage and passing back. They tick up on a Besage, cast a Growth on their forest, then cast a Bring to Light for 5 mana, and they scoop them up. Let's get into match number 2. Just a friendly reminder to leave a subscribe. It really helps me out and it's free to do. Match 2, we're on the draw. Got a mole. Our 6 has turn 3 Tron, so we got to keep. And we'll put back a Sphere. Opponent goes turn 1 Saga into Springleaf Drum, and then casts out a Ornithopter into Esper Sentinel. We'll go turn 1 Tower into a Star. Not paying for the Sentinel, and they draw a card. They play a Plains into another Springleaf Drum. We draw a Leveler. We'll crack the Star for green, drawing an Ugin, and cast a Scrying. Again, not paying the ones. They draw another card off a Sentinel. We'll pick up a Power Plant, so we have Tron next turn. On our end step, they make a Construct. They untap, making another Construct. Grabbing a Gingerbrute. They play a Horizon Canopy into another Ornithopter, into another Esper Sentinel, and a Shadow Spear. Crazy start from the opponent. We're down to 8. We top deck a Dismember, and our only play is to play out a Karn, let them draw 2, and find a Ensnaring Bridge, and we run out the Ensnaring Bridge. Opponent goes to combat and attacks down our Karn. Play a Plains into a Stoneforge, grabbing a Colossus Hammer, playing out another Stoneforge, grabbing another Hammer. We top deck an Ulamog, and we'll run out an Ugin, paying for one of the Sentinels, then tick up, manifesting a Karn under it. Oh, it just goes to combat and attacks them with everything. We'll block one of the Sentinels, and they blacksmith skill an Ornithopter and a Gingerbrute, killing us exactly. Let's get on to sideboarding. We're going to bring in 2 Force of Vigors for a Karn and a Wormcoil. Game 2, our hand has Natural Tron. We'll lead on turn 1 Power Plant. It goes Plains into a Sentinel. We find a Dismember, we'll play out a Mine. They play a Saga into a Springleaf Drum, then cast out a Stoneforge, grabbing a Colossus Hammer. We draw a Sphere, we'll run that out first, paying for the Sentinel, crack it for green, we'll cast out a Scrying, grabbing another tower, then running out our map, holding up map and Dismember this turn. They cast an Aid and play out a Hammer. I guess we're supposed to Dismember, paying for the Sentinel, and they have a Blacksmith skill countering it, then attack us down to 5. We draw an Ugin, play out an O-Stone, and we're not going to pay for the Sentinel so we can crack our map and get a green source. We'll pick up a Forest, and then pop the O-Stone. They float a mana off a Saga and grab a Springleaf Drum, playing a Stoneforge Mystic, grabbing another Hammer, playing out an Aid, into an Inkmoth Nexus, play our Forest, and lead on a Stearns, grabbing a Star, then cast out our Ulamog, exiling Aid and Inkmoth Nexus, and in response they equip a Hammer to the Stoneforge. They attack in and we will block. They run out a Shadow Spear and pass back. We draw a Forest, we'll play out our Ugin, lead on down ticking on the Stoneforge, attack in for 10, exiling 20 cards, and opponent scoops them up. For game 3, we're going to bring in 2 Warping Whales for Karn and Kozilek. Game 3, hand's just a little too slow. Our 6 is slow, but a lot better. We're going to put back a Forest. Opponent goes turn 1 Aid. We top deck a Wormcoil. We'll go turn 1 Map. Opponent casts a Stoneforge off an Inkmoth, grabbing a Hammer. We'll play out our Forest and pass the opponent. They cast out another Aid, attacking with the Stoneforge, then run out a Hammer. And we're going to go for Warping Whale, killing the Stoneforge. And they have another Hammer, RIP. We're just dead here. So let's get into match number 3. Match 3, we're on the draw, but hands a Snap Keep. Opponent goes turn 1 Steam Fence into a Ragavan. We'll go turn 1 Mine into a map. Opponent attacks us for 2, getting a Ragavan hit, exiling our power plant. Then casts a Serum Visions. This is a weird one to see, haven't seen it in a while. Then they play a Scalding Tarn and pass back. We draw a map and play out a plant. And on our instep, they get a green source, hopefully meaning no counter spells. Opponent casts another Serum Visions. They attack in for 2, getting a Ragavan trigger again, exiling an O-Stone. Then cast an As Foretold into an Ancestral Visions on themselves, then plays out a mountain. On their instep, we'll crack our map, grabbing a tower. We top deck a Dismember, so we'll play out an Ugin, down ticking on the As Foretold. Then we'll play out a Star, then we play out a Sphere, a Star, a Sphere, a map, and Dismember a Ragavan. Pretty sweet turn. Opponent plays an island into a Dash Ragavan, and they attack down our Ugin and suspend a Visions. We draw a Scrying. We're going to float a green off of the Sphere and cycle, finding a Sanctum of Ugin. We'll make another green, draw another card, finding power plant, and we'll do it one more time, drawing another card, getting a star, we'll cycle the star, loading another green, drawing an O-stone. We'll deploy our Wormcoil and play a power plant, holding up map activation. They play an Islet and crack it, dash out a Ragavan, and we will block 100%. That just happens. Then they flame slash our Wormcoil. And on the end step, we will crack map, getting a green source. We draw a Scrying for turn. We'll play our Forest and attack in for 6. Cast a Scrying, grabbing another tower, and playing out our O-stone. They flame slash our Lifelinker, then cast an Electro Dominance, dealing 0 toward Death Toucher, and cast out a Visions, drawing 3 more, and they're up to 5 cards. They play an Islet out, and on the end step, we'll put a Fate counter on our Worm. We draw a Beseiju for turn. We'll cast out a Scrying, grabbing another Beseiju, then run out a tower, and attacking for 3. And in response, they crack their Islet. They shock and a Steam Vents, and cast an Electro Dominance for 3, killing our Worm and casting a spell. They draw another 3 cards. We untap, drawing a Dismember. We'll play out a Sanctum and pass. On their upkeep, they remove the last counter, drawing 3 off of Ancestral Vision. Opponent cast an As Foretold into a Strike it Rich, and in response, we will Beseiju the As Foretold. And they grab a mountain out of their deck from the Beseiju, then create a treasure. Then they run out a Baral and Karizev. And on the end step, we will Dismember, and opponent scoops them up. So let's get on to sideboarding. We'll bring in 2 Warping Whale for Dismembers. Game 2, we're keeping a risky hand. Opponent goes turn 1 Misty. We draw an Ugin, and we'll lead on turn 1 Sphere. Turn 2, they play out a tap Steam Vents. We top deck a map. We crack Sphere for green, find a Stirrings, and we find a Mine off that. So we'll grab and play the Mine. Then run out our Expedition map. Opponent plays out an Islet and casts an As Foretold. Oh no! Oh god. And they put an Ulamog onto the battlefield. Oof. And we top deck a tower. Oh my god, we're so good. So let's cast out a card and minus on the Ulamog. Wow, I'm so lucky. And tap and cast a Visions through their As Foretold. Then cast a Blood Moon. We draw a Power Plant. We're going to minus on the Blood Moon. Play out a Power Plant. Cast an Ugin. Down tick on the As Foretold. Play out our Karn, which only costs 2 mana. Down tick with Karn and grab a Trinisphere. And we can cast it because it only costs 1. I'm going to cast Nei, exiling Serum Visions. And they scoop them up. Let's get into match number 4. Match 4, we're on the play, but we got to mold this hand. Our 6 also is too weak, and we're going down to 4. Our 4 is perfect. We'll just keep away to find Tron. We go turn 1 Power Plant into a star. Opponent goes turn 1 Mutavault into an Aether Vial. We find a Sanctum of Ugin, we'll float a green and cycle. Find a tower, flat our Mine, and cast a Sylvan Scrying. And we should grab a Forest here. Opponent ticks up a Vial. Vial's in a Champion of the Parish. Then cast out a Thalia. We draw Stirrings for turn. Play out Forest and cast a Stirrings. And we're going to pick up the Karn. Opponent casts an Esper Sentinel. Activates Vial and puts on Thalia's Lieutenant. And in response, they activate Mutavault, putting a +1 on it as well. And they attack us for 8. We untap, drawing a Stirrings. We'll play our tower, cast out a Karn. Not paying for the Sentinel. Down took our Karn. Finding an EE and played out for 0. But paying 1 mana for the Thalia with the green source, which means it enters as a 1, and we pass, holding up activation of the EE. Opponent plays a Mutavault into an Anointed Peacekeeper, so we gotta pop the EE. Opponent names Ancient Stirrings, making it cost 2 more mana. They attack down our Karn with Thalia, and us for 2. We draw a star for turn. We'll lead on our Stirrings. We're going to pick up Karn here. Play a Sanctum of Ugin and cast out our star. And opponent just has lethal here, so we'll get into sideboarding. And we have nothing for this matchup, so we'll just submit the deck. Game 2, our star is too slow. We just need some more Tron pieces. Our 6 also has no lands, and our 5 looks perfect. We'll put back the extra lands and keep these artifacts. We'll go turn 1 tower into a sphere. Opponent leads on turn 1 Vial. We draw a tower. We'll deploy both of our maps. Opponent activates Vial, putting in an Esper Sentinel, then playing a Thalia. We draw Stirrings. We'll activate map, grabbing a power plant, playing that for turn. In response to them ticking up to a Vial, they put in a Hopeful Initiate. Opponent plays out a Thalia's Lieutenant, pumping the squad, and attacks us for 5. We'll crack the map, find in a Forest, and we draw a Karn for turn. Play a tower, cast out a Karn, not paying for the Esper Sentinel tax. Down ticking Karn, grabbing an Ensnaring Bridge, and playing it out. Opponent plays a Cavern, then activates Initiate, killing our Ensnaring Bridge. Then attacks us for 4 and attacks Karn down. We draw a Wormcoil for turn, but in our upkeep they activate Vial, putting nothing in. We'll lead on cracking Sphere for green, finding another Karn. Then we'll run out our Wormcoil and cast our Karn, not paying for the Sentinel tax. And we'll down tick, grabbing a Walking Ballista. And opponent runs out of Brutal Cathar. They attack down Karn and attack us for 4. We top deck another Scrying. They'll play out our Walking Ballista for 5, killing Brutal Cathar now, getting our Wormcoil back. And opponent scoops him up. Let's get into game 3. For game 3, we're going to bring in 2 Warping Whale for Karn and a Kozilek. For game 3, our 7 looks great. Opponent goes turn 1 Vial. We'll go Power Plant into a map. They play out a Parish into an Esper Sentinel. We draw a Mine. We'll play out Mine and plan on activating map. They Vial and Hopeful Initiate. They play an Nganjo and attacking for 6. We'll crack map, finding a tower, drawing Dismember for turn. We'll play out an Ugin, letting them draw a card off of Sentinel, and we will tick up and dismember the champion of the parish. They cast a March of the Otherworldly Light, killing our spirit. We put an Ulamog into our hand, then cast out a sphere and a star. Opponent plays a Mutavault and attacks our Ugin for 3. We top deck a map. We'll take up Ugin, putting a Karn in exile. We'll crack our sphere, making a green. Go on Sanctum of Ugin, crack star, make another green. Go on a star, and we're just going to slam this Ulamog, exiling both their creatures. And opponent scoops them up. Let's get into match number 5. Match 5, we're on the play, and hand's a little too weak. We got a mole. Our 6 is also a little too weak. Our 5 is also weak. And I guess we're going to keep this 4. We're going to keep 1 Tron piece and a green source to cast these green spells. We're going to lead on turn 1 Beseiju and 2 Stirrings. And we whiffed. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's just get on the match. What are the odds? Well, we'll run back the list. For game 2, we're going to mulligan. Our 6 is also a mole. Oh no, we're down to 4. All right, our 4 looks very good. We'll put back the payoffs and just keep Tron. We'll go turn 1 tower and a star. Opponent goes turn 1 wood foothills. We'll crack for green, and we find a power plant. So we'll scries, and they force negation it. Great deal for us. Assuming we're up against rhinos here. We draw Dismember. We're going to lead on a map, see if they have another force. Nope, and we have Tron now. And on our end step, they cycle a Riverwinder, meaning that they're living in. They play out a Misty, and on the end step, we will fetch up a green source, and we draw a green source for turn. They cycle an Architects and a Curator. They play tap Breeding Pool into a Shardless, and they get to look at our top 3 cards and put them back in many order. And we draw a star for turn. So we'll lead on that. Floating a black here to make our Dismember less life. Finding a star, and we'll float another black. Top decking a Worm Coil, and we'll cast that out. And Dismember the Curator now. And they force Invocation in. They Petty Theft our Worm Coil, and attack in for 14. We top deck a Stirrings. Good start. And we whiff. So we'll play at our mine. And opponent just has us because they have 2 flyers here. So sadly ending with a 3-2. So overall, we did go 3-2 the list. I do believe this is actually a really powerful list. I think the one problem with it is that the Karn sideboard is not really the best. I think that I would like at least 1 Sundering Titan and 1 Liquid Metal Coating because I think that combo is just like way too powerful with Karn. But as for the rest of the deck, I think it's pretty well built. The Ugin was actually insanely powerful like throughout the entire league. And the games that we lost were against Hammer Time, which is like a pretty hard matchup, especially if they know how to mulligan really well. And match number 5, I think we just got so unlucky. I mean, comically unlucky. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.